Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Obviously, first things first, before we get into all of these football topics, we just wanted to thank y'all for helping us get to over 850 subscribers on the channel. It's a huge milestone. We appreciate the continued support. We're going to continue to run up the content as we try to get to 1,000 subscribers. So hit the subscribe button down below if you enjoy the content, and let us know in the comments down below what you think about all of these topics we're talking about.
Absolutely. We appreciate every single one of you guys' support, all your comments, all your reels, good or bad. We appreciate it. It's good banter. It's good fun. But we have a packed show full of a lot of topics we're ready to get into.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't even want to do this anymore. It's like every single time we do this video, it's like we got to start off with this one. And obviously,
there's not a better way to start off my fucking 4 in the afternoon with Chelsea. Do it again. Same old Chelsea. 325 million, a $500 million, same old club with the same old results. They draw with West Ham. Promising start to the game, but yet again, same outcome. So I will pass this one off to you. Obviously, it being your club, what was your reactions and what's your takeaways from this?
You know, I don't even know what to say anymore at this point. I'm honestly at a loss for words. If I'm being honest, the first 20 minutes, I was like, we're back. We are back. It's over. We're winning the Champions League. We're going to make top 4. I was really excited after I saw the first 20 minutes, and then it went to complete shit. And it was basically the same old Chelsea, like you said. And look, I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I have to put blame on Graham Potter. Graham Potter, get out of my football club. Leave my football club. You should be sacked today. You should be sacked yesterday. You should have been sacked right after the match. To be honest, you should have been sacked 3 weeks ago when we drew with Fulham. And when we lost to Fulham. There is no excuse for this. This is absolutely inexcusable. Giving Graham Potter this squad with all of the money we've spent is like giving a Rolls Royce to a homeless man with no driver's license. You don't do that. You don't give a car to somebody who can't drive. And that's what we've done with Graham Potter. It's an absolute disgrace. There's no tactics. There's no system. But you all know that by now. I've talked about it every single week. There is absolutely no tactics, no system. I still don't know what type of football we play. And sure, I was excited after the first 20 minutes, but that is down to individual brilliance. And then once that kind of capitulated and started to, West Ham grew into the game, Potter made no adjustments, no tactical adjustments, even at halftime, no adjustments. And then Potter, he shot himself in the foot. You know what I mean? He shot himself in the foot because his substitutions were absolutely piss poor once again. I mean, look, he got one right, but the only reason he got it right was because you couldn't get it wrong. Marc Cucurella got subbed off for Ben Chilwell. I mean, do I even have to talk about Marc Cucurella? One of the most disgraceful performances I've ever seen. I have never seen a more negative Nancy player than Marc Cucurella. This man's middle name should be passed backwards. That's what his middle name should be. This guy, he will never pass the ball forward. And I posted a video about this. It's going viral on TikTok. Check that out. It's on YouTube Shorts. He never and refuses to pass the ball to Mudryk. At this point, I think Cucurella is Russian or something. He just hates Ukrainians. It's an absolute disgrace. Marc Cucurella should never play another minute. And it's unfortunate because he cost 60 million. He was a good player for Brighton, but I don't know if it's the club, if it's he having personal issues, but something has gone completely wrong. He forgot how to play football properly. Should never play another minute at the club. So obviously, he did sub him off for Ben Chilwell, and I was so excited about that because I love Ben Chilwell, actually a good left back in my opinion. But my thing, we never got to see Chilwell actually play with Mudryk, and I think you're going to go ahead and say that Mudryk is a flop and things of that nature. I'm not ready to go that far because I think Mudryk, he is being held back by the fact that Marc Cucurella doesn't give him the ball and give him space, doesn't give him any opportunity. If you compare what Reece James did with Noni Madueke and what Marc Cucurella did with Mudryk, it's night and day. It's uncomparable. Madueke gets the ball so much more, so many more opportunities, and Mudryk gets nothing. I think that's going to change when Chilwell comes in, but we didn't get to find out because he's immediately subbed off Mudryk when he subbed off Cucurella. It's like I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You paid all of the money. It was what, 70 million plus add-ons it's going to be, so maybe even 100 million when it's all said and done. Right now 70 million, and he hasn't played the full 90. I don't understand that. You can't let him play the full 90. I don't get it. So, I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot. We brought on Hakeem Ziyech. We brought on Mason Mount. We brought on Conor Gallagher. Those were the subs we made. Those were the subs we made. I mean, at that point, as soon as I saw these subs were being made, I knew it was over. That was 1-1, and I said, okay, man, it's over. On the next week, on the Dortmund. Because you're making these subs that, these are not game-changing subs. I mean, Mason Mount was not going to come on and win us that game. And don't forget, I know that some Chelsea fans are wondering why I haven't mentioned the disgrace of a VAR mistake, I guess, with that Thomas Suchek handball. I'm not going to just blow right over that because it is an absolute disgrace. We're going to talk about VAR because this whole weekend in the Premier League has been an absolute disgrace with VAR and refereeing. It's unforgivable. But, I'm not even that mad about that because I still feel like we didn't deserve that. We didn't deserve the win. I mean, VAR ruled out one of their goals because we were playing bad. West Ham, they were about to go up 2-1 and then they ruled it out for offsides. And it was offsides, but we were not playing well enough to get the win. And I don't even feel like that hard done by it just because of the fact that we didn't play well. And Graham Potter, negative subs, didn't really bring anything into the match. No tactics. I come away from this game. At the first 20 minutes, I thought I was going to be on here being happy for once, but instead I'm here being negative because there's nothing else. There's nothing to be positive about with Chelsea Football Club at the moment. There is not a reason that Potter should be staying any longer. He should be sacked before the Dortmund game. He should be sacked right now, but that's not going to happen. And I hope to God that we do not miss out on a top coach because we're sticking with Graham Potter and we stick with him a little bit too long and we miss out on a Luis Enrique or a Pochettino or whoever we're going to get. Someone who has actually proven that they can win trophies and that deserves the Rolls Royce of a squad that we have. But right now, at the moment, I sit here and I say, Chelsea Football Club, I don't know where this is. I don't know where we're going. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. It's just an absolute disgrace.
I can appreciate you coming out here and, putting their feet to the fire. I appreciate it. But, there's a lot of things I did agree with you what you said. But there's some things I didn't disagree with. I think the main thing was that comparing this Chelsea squad to a Rolls Royce.
Well,
I think that's...
If you spend $325 million, it should...
it should be a Rolls Royce, but realistically, you're stuck with Mudryk and Madueke and, and still you have Havertz. Obviously, you didn't bring him in, but this, you're saying the whole squad is a Rolls Royce. I don't know about you. I don't think Havertz at striker is a Rolls Royce to me. I mean, Joao Felix played spectacular. I think he was the only really bright spot.
I didn't even mention Joao Felix, but what a match he had. Phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean,
top player.
He's come into this Chelsea team and looked like their best player. But I mean, you're playing Loftus-Cheek. I mean, he's just not good enough. Obviously, Cucurella, enough said, not good enough. Badia Shield's been fairly good, but still, is he a Rolls Royce of? I would definitely. That's not the word I would use for this team. I definitely think Graham Potter's not getting everything that he should be getting out of this team. I think he's underperforming. But if this team's firing on all cylinders as it's assembled right now, I cannot really see them more than maybe just scraping Europa League football. I think that's the ceiling for this current squad, just because you're not going to get far.
Even with the proper manager.
Even if you had Pep Guardiola there, I don't think he's going to change anything. Because it's Kai Havertz. Look at Kai Havertz. He's never going to be a good 9. I don't care what. I agree. Anything.
I agree. And one of my main things that I was disappointed about in this game was that David Datro Fofana didn't even get any minutes. He didn't even submit. And we have seen positive things from David Datro Fofana, not only in training, but when he played against Fulham, he was very promising. He almost scored. Kai Havertz, you don't see that.
You don't. I don't know what anybody really sees with Kai Havertz, but that's definitely what I wouldn't describe this team as a Rolls Royce. But obviously, that's almost nitpicky.
It's basically just the analogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you understand the point.
Yeah, somewhat that this team, there are some remnants of a team here. It's just that, like I said before, when they made all these signings, that Chelsea had a very big problem in that they're bringing a lot of people in. They're pulling him from a lot of different teams, trying to bring him into a system that doesn't exist. That's just the truth of it. That Graham Potter doesn't have a system. I don't know what style of football he ever plans to play, but it's just they've been able to manage no wins after 325 odd million, and
2 wins in our last 13.
I mean, it's just not good enough, and I've tried to give Potter more time because always this is the one thing I never liked about the sport, that coaches don't get enough time. But to a certain point, it's enough. I mean, the players are not reacting to what Graham Potter's saying. I mean, even how he carries himself in press conferences after. I wanted to mention that. Look, I understand that I've never been even a person to myself to really complain that much about refereeing decisions in game, because after the ref makes a decision, you can't change it. No matter how much you jump up and down, whip your arms, freaking pull your pants down, it's not going to change anything. But you have to still show some type of passion for some type of backbone that you go in the post game press conference. You can't just kind of you win some, you lose some.
Oh, I hated that. Hated that.
Oh, we win some, we lose some. That's not the mentality you have at a club like Chelsea. Maybe if you're a Brighton, no one cares. I mean, you go for these bottom, if you're the West Ham manager, yeah, you win some, you lose some. But when you're playing for a team like Chelsea that's put so much capital into their starting 11 to where there is no winner. You win some, you lose some. You go to win them. You have to show that yes, pound the fucking table and say we got robbed. We should have won this game. This is take the point that we played bad ball, but that doesn't change the fact that we still should have been awarded a penalty and won this game. Because if they would have won this game, no one's gonna really be talking about. Maybe you talk about that it wasn't a great performance from Chelsea, but they were able to ink out a win. But now that it's a draw and it adds on to, like you said, 2 wins in 13 matches, it keeps adding on to the more of the dread of this club. And it's a bit unfortunate, but it falls down to Graham Potter's fault. He has to take more accountability instead of just chalking it up that I'm trying really hard. No shit. I'd hope you'd be trying really hard, but by the looks of it, I don't think you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things. For me, I couldn't have said a lot of that any better. Potter reminds me of he's like a yes man. He doesn't show me passion. He doesn't show me a backbone. And I didn't get a mention in the press conference. It slipped my mind. But I'm gonna compare it to this. If Jose Mourinho was Chelsea manager, he would have torn everyone a new one. He would have went at the FA, the Premier League, the referees, the players. You would have saw a level of passion that even though we didn't play well, and even though we're drawing, even though it's 2 wins in the last 13, you come away from it and you say, he's going to try to fix this. He's going to do something drastic. He's going to do something. That's the level, as you get a little bit of something from Jose Mourinho where it's like, okay, he's working to fix this. He's not okay with this. He's not content with this. He wants to fix this. With Graham Potter, he's like, oh, well, that's life. It is what it is. We move forward. And I'm like, bro, you can't be this nonchalant right now. It's 2 wins in the last 13. Show me some passion. On the touchline, no passion. He just kind of stands there. And obviously, these are things that if you're winning, nobody cares about. Nobody cares about your passion or if you're jumping around on the touchline or not when you're winning, because you're winning. But when you're losing, these are things that start to get pointed out because the players, they're not responding to whatever you're doing clearly, like you said. So obviously, they're not responding to this nonchalant mentality, and it's not working. So maybe we need somebody that has a little bit more passion. I mean, look, I'm not saying it would be the ideal appointment, but let's just say Potter does get sacked. Jose Mourinho is on his knees begging to come back to Chelsea right now. I would love to have Jose Mourinho right now over Graham Potter. I mean, it's night and day, no doubt. Because I know at the very least, Jose Mourinho is going to show me some passion about the football club. And he's going to put his best foot forward to change the mentality of the club right now, the players, and get us the ultimate results. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's the long-term fix, or I don't think that it's what I would want.
I think it's the best short-term fix you can get.
It would be a very good short-term fix.
I've always thought Jose Mourinho, if you give him the financial backing, especially what Todd Bowley is willing to,
I think that's why he wants to come back so bad.
I mean, he can obviously see the writing on the wall that they have an owner that says he wants to win now. And if Jose can get more control of signing the players that he likes that fits his system, you can do. I get Jose Mourinho, he's a bit of an old head, but I mean, we've seen resurgence of old managers, even with Carlo Ancelotti, where
he won Conference League with Roma last year. Roma are in the top 4 right now in Serie A, playing decent football. And even now, obviously, I mean, people are looking back on his Manchester United seasons and even his Tottenham seasons, saying that he did well with what he was given then. I mean, he got a little bit of disrespect because it's, Man United at that time weren't the best, and Tottenham obviously are Tottenham. Yeah. But I mean, people are saying that Man United should be awarded the Premier League trophy for that Mourinho season because of the city sanctions.
Because of the city sanctions.
So, I mean, if some people are going to be viewing that as a Manchester United title led by Jose Mourinho. So this guy can still win trophies. That's what I'm saying. And he has the thing that I'm talking about. He's a proven winner. People like these players, these young players, they're going to listen to Jose Mourinho. They're going to respect him because he's Jose Mourinho. I don't think these guys respect Graham Potter, and he can't lead all of these egos. You need a real proper manager to lead a club like Chelsea with all of these egos and all of these big money signings, Kai Havertz and all of these guys. Graham Potter is not that. They're not responding to what he's saying. I think I agree with that point that you said a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely not what you want to see. Definitely heading into Champions League, playing Borussia Dortmund, and it's making my pick look a lot better. I mean,
Dortmund are
I'm feeling
playing
good.
great right now as well.
I'm
Dortmund
feeling
are
good
playing
about
such
my
good.
pick.
Dortmund are playing such good football at the moment as well. I was
I'm
watching a
feeling
little bit of
really
their
good about
game,
my
and
pick right now.
I feel like even though the defense is the strongest part of our team, not to get this into a whole preview, but it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. All right, so I think that's a good segue into our next topic. Another London team that's not looking so great right now. Arsenal dropping points back-to-back games, loss and then a draw. And now that poses the question: are Arsenal in jeopardy of possibly letting go of their title hopes?
I mean, it's not looking good, is it? I mean, this is something that a lot of people expected at some point, and this is kind of not a surprising thing to me either, because it was inevitable that Arsenal were going to have a blip at some point. They were going to have a blip of form. They were playing too good at that first half of the season. I mean, absolutely incredible form. They were on pace to be 100 points. They were on points to have 100 points. That would be the Centurions. I mean, that is something that it was not realistic. And I always picked Man City to win the title. It's something I said it in our prediction video. I said that Man City will find a way to win the title because of this. Arsenal, it was inevitable that they were going to drop form at some point. And this is it. Now they have dropped points against Everton, a loss. Now they drop points against Brentford. And I mean, I'm not going to just skip over the fact that it was a little bit of VAR controversy in this game as well, but it is what it is. They've dropped points in this match as well. And now they play Man City on Wednesday, which we're going to go ahead and give a full preview of in a little bit. It's not looking good. If Man City win that game on Wednesday, they're number one. They're back to the first place. So it's very worrying for Arsenal. I mean, they're not in the worst position in the world. Don't get me wrong. Like, they obviously, if they get a draw or they even win against Man City on Wednesday, it's looking good for them. All of a sudden, it's looking good for them again because now they're back to being 6 points clear. All sunny and daisy and rosy in London. But I think it's in jeopardy because we are seeing the lack of Gabriel Jesus. For a while, it was looking good with Nketiah, but Jesus, he offers something to this team that you just can't replace. And it was good with Nketiah for a while, but we're seeing Martinelli not be able to play as well without Gabriel Jesus. We're seeing that, Trossard has to come in and kind of replace him. And, in the midfield isn't looking as good. I mean, that was probably one of the worst Arsenal performances I've seen in these kind of back-to-back games all season. So you don't want to be playing your worst football at the same time when I think City are on a little bit of a resurgence. I think we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's just horrible timing for Arsenal. So it would impress me if they're able to get a result against City. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with anything you really said. I mean, I did also, did pick Arsenal to win the league and tough it out, but I never did think that it was, as set in stone as, even you and others were saying that, after Arsenal went 8 points clear, that they've already won the title, they've already done this. But knowing that they were coming close to having to play City, it was always going to be, not a walk in the park, because the worst thing that could happen possibly happen. You drop points, vital points heading into the City match. That's what you cannot do, because now you give City a chance to put their foot back in front. And I mean, we're going to talk more about the VAR situation and all that disaster, but it doesn't change the fact that those are points that are gone. Arsenal are not getting those points back. They can get as many apologies as they want from FIFA, from God, from anybody.
The Premier League, it's just disgraceful to apologize like that.
Yeah, there's nothing that can do. It's not gonna fix anything, and that could cost them the title. But it's still, like you said, partial to Chelsea, that they were still playing poorly. I mean, did they really deserve to get those points? In a sense, they did, but still, they didn't play.
But Brentford were also robbed of a goal, so it kind of does even out. I mean, I saw comments about that, and I think ultimately they didn't deserve to win that game, regardless of VAR controversy. I think that's a fair statement.
They weren't playing like champions. I mean, that's just the sum that up. But it's definitely going into the City game. It's a must win. I mean, you have to get at least a point out of it. You can't afford to do it because, as much as we've been praising Arsenal for how they carry themselves up champions, a lot of these players aren't champions. The only really one is Zinchenko.
And Jesus, but he's injured.
Yeah, and he's injured. They're desperately needing him to come back because, I mean, they were able to, steady the ship a little bit. In the meantime, he was gone, but it started to creep back that you need that guy. You need the guy that you basically hitched this whole plan on, that, we're going to sign him and he's going to solve our problem. You need him. And, I mean, it's is definitely not the greatest situation to be put in. As an Arsenal fan, I mean, God, the drama, but this is what I mean. As as a casual fan of the Premier League, I mean, I'm kind of all for it. I like seeing a good title race. It's never fun when it's just one runaway horse. And I mean, to be fair, Man United are still hanging around there. I mean, this is still, I think it's still a 2-horse race, but there's people in there that are making a bit of a ruckus. I mean, this is definitely never was going to be a 1-horse race with Arsenal. I never thought it was going to be that. Even if they beat City and go 6 points, you're always, a couple draws or one bad loss away from being right back in it. So, I mean, it's about as interesting as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, it's obviously not the worst place in the world to be in for Arsenal, but going into this game, it is kind of the worst place you could be in. Obviously, you're never going to complain too much when you're top of the league at the moment, but how long is it going to last at this point? That's what we're kind of waiting and seeing here. I saw the analogy. I laughed when I told you, but it's like an elephant at the top of the tree. Eventually, it's going to fall.
God.
The elephant is at the top of the tree right now, and eventually, it is going to fall, and that's what it's looking like with Arsenal at the moment.
I mean, yeah, they were always destined to drop. I mean, no one thought they were going to go invincible again. But yeah, this is something I always did expect that Arsenal were going to. I mean, they're going to drop points. I mean, like you said, they had a historic start, and almost with any team ever. I mean, you have a historic start, and eventually, like you said, it's going to come down. I mean, you can't just keep on going historically and win every single game and go perfect. That's not ever what's going to happen. So
I think eventually a little bit of doubt starts to creep in. I think after that Everton game, a little bit of doubt, starts to creep in. Are we going to bottle this? Are we going to blow this?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely something that's going to go around in the locker room because, like you said, I mean, Zinchenko's the only true champion there. He knows how it is that you drop points. That's going to happen. You're not always going to be invincible. These players have to understand that and be it's a season-long trophy. You have to be good, very good for a tie season, but you don't have to be perfect. You can afford to drop points here and there, but there's some points where games you go into that are must-wins, and this one going into City is a must-win.
Yeah, no, that definitely. It's just one of those things. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But I think, potentially talking about their opponent, obviously, they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum right now. City were looking like they were in a crisis, but I think that they might be able to come out the other side, and they're looking good. So I'll pose it to you because I've been going first. What do you think about Man City narrowing the gap in the title race to 3 points?
It's exactly what was the doctor called for. I mean, with all the controversy that's going on with City, they needed a bit of a light in the darkness, and this was it. I mean, they failed to capitalize on Arsenal's shortcomings last time, and they weren't going to let that happen again. If they did that would have been an utter disaster to the point of epic proportion. Yeah. But they're able to capitalize and win fairly dominantly on an Aston Villa team that is not horrible.
They've been playing well under Unai Emery.
They've been playing good ball, and they were able to absolutely pick them apart and do what they want. And a bit of flashes to the old City. I mean, the City that we've known have been kings of the Premier League for the past three years. I mean, it was an impressive performance, and it just heightens the drama into the next game going because I mean, as far as it goes, this is the game. This is the game that I've had this game circled for a long time. I mean, even when Arsenal were still 8 points clear, this is the game.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I've had this game circled for a while. I've been waiting for this game to happen because this is what we all want to see. But I think that the Pep Guardiola and Manchester City revenge tour has begun. This is the beginning of the revenge tour. I think that these sanctions, or these alleged sanctions on Manchester City coming right now, was the worst possible thing that could have happened for Arsenal. Because I saw in the press conference with Pep Guardiola, he's over here taking shots at everybody, taking shots at other Premier League clubs, taking shots at Steven Gerrard for no reason. And I sit here and I watch this and I say, this is scary. Pep Guardiola with this revenge arc, this is not what you want. I think that I knew going into this game, I thought we were going to see a prime City game where we saw a dominant performance, and that's exactly what we saw. And I think that this is going to be the beginning of one of those typical Manchester City, 10, 15 game winning streaks. They do it every single season when they win the league. They go on an incredible winning streak where it basically sets them apart from everybody else. And in this case, I think they are about to go on an incredible winning streak, And it's going to set them apart from Arsenal, they're going to beat Arsenal. They're going to continue their winning streak after that. And whether or not Arsenal drop points again after that, that remains to be seen. But it's not going to matter because Manchester City, I don't think they're going to drop many points from here on in. I don't think Pep Guardiola is risking it anymore. I don't think he's going to do any of these dumb switches like not playing Kevin De Bruyne against Tottenham or playing a dumb formation. And because, sometimes he overthinks it. But I don't think he's doing that anymore. I think he's hunking in. He's strapping up and he's saying, we're going to begin our title charge now. And whatever he said in the locker room, whatever he's been saying, I think it's really resonating with the players because we saw a prime Man City performance today. Rodri, unbelievable performance. Everyone looked top. And, I worry for Arsenal now because, it's like you awoke the sleeping giant. Man City weren't playing like we normally saw. And we were like, is it Haaland's fault? Whose fault is it? What is going on with Man City? Now, I think the sleeping giant has woken up, and they've woken up at the wrong time if you're an Arsenal fan.
I mean, yeah, I definitely can agree with a lot of points you said, but I think a lot of this, I think I'll fully agree with what you said if City go off and pull it off, because, like you said, Pep Guardiola is a criminal overthinker. He overthinks a lot of these big matches, and I don't know what he's thinking right now going into the Arsenal match. What lineup he's going to put out there? What you'd hope that he just puts out his the best 11 players.
Yeah,
it should be very similar. Very simple. But with Pep Guardiola, a lot of times going into big games, that's the opposite of what it is. He doesn't like to make it simple, and he likes to make it almost harder on himself. But that's the last thing holding me back from fully agreeing that I think this is going to be it. That City are just going to fully take control. I mean, you can't leave the door that cracked open for City. I mean, that you have to slam it shut. You can't give them any chances, and that's what Arsenal unfortunately have done. They've given this City team a chance.
That's what you don't do. You don't do that. You can't do that.
You can't do it, especially with the amount of veteran leadership that they have. Because these guys know how the league works. They know how this is. And
they know how to win titles.
All it is simple as getting that one win to catapult them to that win streak. Because I mean, with almost any sport, that's how it works. The team gets hot at the right moment, and that's who gets it. And Arsenal are ones looking at they're on the down, and City are going up. So it's just a bad mix of things for Arsenal. And for Arsenal fans, they should be very worried.
Yeah, and look. Part of the reason why this resurgence, I think, is for me, it's going to start is because of the fact that Ruben Diaz back, Laporte back. They're getting those key guys back that were slightly injured, banged up. They're starting to get fit. And unfortunately, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch here because we are not quite sure about what's going on with Erling Haaland. They're saying he might have a thigh injury, might even hold him out for the Arsenal game. I have a feeling that it's kind of being a little bit overblown. I think he's going to play. I could be wrong about that. Even if he doesn't play, the striker position is not the one I'm worried about with Man City. No. They have Julian Alvarez to slide right in. He's not Erling Haaland, but he's a very, very good striker. We all know that by now. We saw what he did for Argentina in the World Cup. He can do some things that Haaland necessarily can't do. They're different players. So I think that they'll be fine even if Haaland doesn't play, and I still predict them to do what they're going to do. But you can't replace those defenders. Obviously, they're still missing John Stones. But Ruben Diaz, we know how quality he is. I mean, there's no replacing Ruben Diaz. There's no replacing Aymeric Laporte. They're all back. It's very scary right now. If you were an Arsenal fan, you should be very scared because Man City are getting fit, and they're only 3 points behind and obviously we all know who they play next. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be something very exciting to watch. We've had it circled for a long time. Like it's going to be very exciting to finally get that game, and then we'll be back here talking about the results of that game.
Yeah, but I think this has kind of been a preview in itself, but potentially now we can go ahead and get into our official preview where we talk about Manchester City versus Arsenal, what we expect, and give our prediction. So ultimately, go ahead and drop your predictions. What do you think is going to happen in this match?
I can't fully say with all confidence that Arsenal are going to win this match. It's hard to say that, even though they could. Obviously, it's football. Anything can happen. I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be, either a 1-1 or a 2-2. I think it's definitely going to be a hard fought match. I mean, that's like almost without what I said. I definitely don't think any team's going to get blown out.
Yeah,
but
at the Emirates as well.
Especially at the Emirates, I'm going to back Arsenal to hold off this City brigade just a little bit. And I don't necessarily think that this game's going to decide the title. I don't think a win or a loss or each team really decides the title. More in the sense of Arsenal. I think if Arsenal lose this match, I don't think that scraps the title at all. But
No.
I think a draw is I think the best thing they can get out of this, because I mean with the form City are on at the moment, I don't really know if they can beat them. I mean, I could be wrong. So we've seen City drop points, and I think the more likely thing to happen is that it's going to be a draw. Just if I were to had a gun to my head.
Yeah. I mean, look, I could see a draw happening, but for me, I expect a Manchester City win. I think that, like I said before, kind of when I was talking about Manchester City narrowing the gap, that this is the beginning of something special with Man City. Like I said, you don't want to awake the sleeping giant, and that's what Man City were. This whole season, they've been a sleeping giant. They've been underperforming, inconsistent, things that you don't typically see from Man City, especially in this run where they've won, I think, 5 titles in the last 6 seasons. They've pretty much been the dominant force that is running away with titles. But this season, it's been a little different. Injuries, things have happened, but now players are getting fit, and I think the Giant has woken up because Pep Guardiola is not happy right now. He's not a happy man. He's calling out Premier League clubs. He's calling out Steven Gerrard for almost no reason. He is showing that villain arc, that revenge tour, that you don't want to give them any more added motivation. You know what I mean? This is like you don't give a player or in a team like this added motivation to ultimately do what they're going to do. They don't need that anyway, but now they have it. They have extra incentive to want to go and win out, essentially. I'm not saying they're going to win out, but you get the point that I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You don't need to give them any added motivation. That's exactly what the whole Premier League has done. And they typically go on these magical runs where it's almost unfathomable, where they just dominate and they win, 10 matches in a row. And I think that that's ultimately what is going to happen. I've mentioned it before. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think they will beat Arsenal. I think they're going to win. I'm going to say 2-1. I think they win 2-1. They probably score a late goal to get the win. And this ultimately catapults them. I think ultimately they're going to win the title. So I think this catapults them, puts them in the right direction to win the title, because a 2-1 win against Arsenal, or any win, doesn't matter the score, any win against Arsenal at the Emirates is going to be very, very discouraging for Arsenal's title hopes. Not only in terms of the table itself, because they fall to number 2 for, I don't even know. I think they've been pretty much first in the league the entire season almost.
I think that'd be one of the first times they'd be in second.
So it'd be one of those things, you don't know how the squad is going to react to that. It's going to be demoralizing. It's going to that would really show what this Arsenal team is about if that happens. If they're able to happen to them and then they're able to rebound and somehow win the league, that would show this team is really they're serious. Arteta's a proper manager. He is a proper manager, but he would have to pull off a masterclass to.
He definitely he'd have to rally these young players.
Rally the troops.
Rally the troops back into the belief that this is still our title to win.
Exactly. He would have to rally the troops and make that happen, which it would be very, very tough to do. But basically, this is the one that Arsenal have to get a proper result. Minimum a draw, but they should be going for the win, because this is at the Emirates. You don't want to leave it to that second time they play at the Etihad or the Etihad, whatever you want to call it. It's still even if it's the Etihad,
it's still
it's still difficult to go away from home and beat the champions. That's what it is. You don't want to leave it to that. So they need to get a result here at the Emirates. And if Man City do win this, like I predict, it is definitely going to catapult them in the right direction to ultimately win the title, because I don't know if they would drop many points after that, to be honest. And, it would be very tough. And obviously, they have the better goal differential. So if it comes down to that, Man City are going to have it.
Yeah, at the moment, it's hard to still say that to predict long win streaks is difficult. Obviously, with City, they're kind of known to go on these runs, but there's still a lot of football to be played.
There's no reason to predict that besides the fact City always do it, because every season they've done it, but this season they've been nothing but they've been pretty much inconsistent. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
So there's no reason to predict it. Of what they have been.
But I just think they've, like I said, the sleeping giant is woken up, and they've given them extra motivation that they don't need. They don't need extra motivation. If they weren't really caring about the Premier League, now they do. You know what I mean? Obviously, they care about the Prem, but people were saying, "Oh, they're focusing on the Champions League." This and that.
Pep now City doesn't give a shit about the Prem, but
now I think that they're sitting there saying, "No, fuck this. Let's win the Prem. Let's win the fucking Prem.
It's hard not to when you have a squad this great. As Pep Guardiola can say he doesn't care about the league as much, but you put out quality players, you're gonna get quality results. That's all. That's kind of how it works. But
then also when you have these the Premier League clubs attacking you, you kind of feel like, you know what? Let's just go do this to spite them, and that's kind of they've given them extra incentive. So it's not looking good, I don't think, for Arsenal, to be honest.
I don't think so. But
This result that Man City got against Aston Villa is exactly what you didn't want to see if you're an Arsenal fan, because it
no,
looked like shades of
absolutely
the
not.
old City. You did not want to see. You wanted to see
A
scrappy, maybe
draw,
if they, a
yeah,
scrappy win. If they were to win, you wanted to
if they
see it
were
be
to win, yeah.
scrappy. You wanted it to see it anything but what we saw today, because it looked completely and utterly dominant.
Yeah, but on to what is probably the biggest talking point in the Premier League at the moment, the atrocious handling of VAR. And I know you have a lot to say about this. I'm going to pass this off to you because I have a lot to say about this as well. But what's going on with VAR? Just break it down.
VAR is an absolute disgrace. Right now, VAR is an absolute disgrace. You know, VAR, the whole point of VAR being in football is to get the calls right, and somehow they're still getting the calls wrong. I do not understand how a trained, real referee, I mean, even at a youth level, a referee understands offsides, and they understand that you have to draw the lines, this and that. That's how offside works. How can you be employed by the Premier League and be an actual referee and you forget? How do you forget to draw the lines? You don't do that. That's your job. You know, if you forget to put cream and sugar in your coffee in the morning, you know, okay, it's not the end of the world. But you don't forget to shut your garage door. You don't forget to close your front door at your house and let people walk in. You don't forget to do these things. You cannot forget to draw the lines. It's an absolute disgrace. And like we kind of mentioned, Arsenal played poorly against Brentford. But to get this type of thing happen to you where you ultimately draw that match because of Lee Mason, the VAR official, not drawing the lines, it's an absolute disgrace. And that alone is a disgrace. But then when you have other instances with VAR is not getting it done either. And look, Chelsea game, clear as day handball. Clear as day in the penalty area, game on the line, clear penalty. No doubt about it. I mean, everyone saw it. Everyone saw it. And they barely check it. And they just skip past it like it never even happened. Everyone saw it. It was a clear penalty. They didn't even check it. What is VAR doing? And then, again, I mean, how many times does this have to happen? And in one weekend, Brighton get robbed by VAR, where they get a completely valid goal chopped off for onside or offsides when the guy was on. So I come away from this thinking, what is the point of VAR? Why is it even there? Why are we even using it in football? What's the point? If you can't get the calls right anyway, what's the point of using it? We might as well go back to the old way, no VAR. You know, sure, it was controversial, but what's more controversial than what we're talking about now? To be honest, at least back then it was a debate. But now we're sitting here, we have confirmation that these guys were making mistakes, and you have the ability to fix the mistakes with VAR, but you're just making two mistakes. The referee originally is making a mistake, and then VAR is making a mistake. So it's just double mistakes. I don't understand it anymore. There's no point. And I was an advocate for VAR, but I come away thinking, what's the point anymore? What's the point of having VAR?
I mean, the original idea, I mean, when VAR was first going to be introduced, we thought it was going to finally clean up the game. It was finally going to, you know, call the mistakes that we've always gone through. Like for example, I mean, the one that rings so clear in my head was Cristiano Ronaldo's hat trick against Bayern Munich in the Bernabeu in 2017, where I mean his second goal was clearly offsides. The third one was up for debate. It was very close. That one could have been human error, but you know, with VAR being brought in, everybody thought, you know, finally we're gonna get good calls and cut down on the mistakes. But it's done the opposite. I mean, we've seen it even. There's always something wrong with VAR. It's either they're too punctual with their offsides. I mean, if you're fucking one molecule of your hair is caught offside, we're gonna call it.
Yeah.
And then you have the flip side of it to where you can be directly onside and they'll call you off, or you can be so far offside and they'll say, you know what, we didn't see him, or we missed him.
We didn't draw the lines.
We forgot to draw the lines. I don't get how does that possibly happen? You're employed to do a job, and this is the first time that the league itself has to have come out to apologize. But because beforehand they didn't really have to apologize because, you know, how can you blame human error? I mean, humans are imperfect.
Make mistakes, yeah.
But yeah, they make mistakes. But now that you've brought in a system specifically to cut down on human mistakes, yet
and
to
still
have more mistakes, that's unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
And it's disgraceful that they have to come out and apologize. What good's your apology? It's about as good as fucking nothing. I mean, you can take your apology and kiss your ass with it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change the fact that teams have lost points. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you could have possibly thrown off a title champion, Arsenal. Obviously, that's the biggest one. and obviously Chelsea, I mean, you make their situation even worse. I mean, imagine kicking a man while he's down, just yanking points away from him. And I just don't get it. I don't know how this keeps happening because even in the early stages, VAR was having these problems. I always thought they'll figure it out. They'll
They
get
have
it.
to, right? I mean,
what is it? What
experience.
has it been? Three or four seasons with
It's
VAR,
been a while,
and it's still this bad. It's still as bad as
To be honest, it might have gotten even worse.
I don't know how it's even possible that it's contention. Oh, has VAR gotten worse? And it's in a sense, it's almost ruining the game. I mean, they're still making tweaks of it, and now soon referees will be able to announce the decisions or be able to talk to the crowd as that. But you have to get at least the decisions right, because
like you're gonna announce to the crowd a wrong decision.
A wrong decision, and there's still many instances of games where VAR is pick and chosen when to be used. I mean, there's fouls and handballs outside of the box or in different scenarios that lead into counterattacks that they never check just because there's not a break in play. When it's so egregious of a foul, it has to be taken in because obviously the ref's not going to see everything. That's why you have VAR. That's why you have it. And I don't know how handballs in the box how do they ever go unchecked now? Because that's literally what VAR is for. You would think out of everything, you can stop the play, look at it. You have so many angles to see, did the ball just simply hit his hand in the box? And were they just not watching the game? Were they just like rushing it? I don't know what goes on to it, because we thought, that it would cut down on more human mistakes. And now it's like people are choosing people in VAR are literally choosing what they want to call and what they don't want to call.
And when you hear mistakes like, they forget to draw the lines, it makes you question, what are they really even doing in the VAR room? What are they really doing?
That's their job. How do you forget to do your job? It's like, I mean,
if a referee is forgetting to draw lines when they're looking for a handball in the box, are they really even watching it? You know what I mean?
You drew a conclusion, not a conclusion, but something similar to. I mean, it's almost like a fireman forgetting to put out the fire. I mean, it's like that's your job. I mean, God, please do your job. Because what else are you in that room for? I mean, we're showing the referees in the room all the time. What are they doing? I mean, they got the Xbox hooked up.
They're playing FIFA or something.
They're playing FIFA. I don't know what they're watching, but it's egregious. I mean, this has been a conversation in every sport that I think these referees should be publicly fined and suspended. I mean, that's the only way to cut down.
Send Lee Mason to the championship. Send the League One.
And I think some of that stuff might happen behind the scenes, but obviously it's not going to get the same amount of coverage as the controversies did. I mean, I think some of these referees do get some type of, you might not see them again in games
for a while.
For a while. But I think it has to be more public. It has to be that we have fined this referee so-and-so, and they've been suspended for this much because they're costing vital points to too many teams, and it's just disgraceful. I mean, it muddies the game, and it puts too much of that outside hand into affecting what is supposed to be just two teams playing football.
Yeah, because look, when I made a video about this on TikTok and on the YouTube Shorts, I think people got the sense that I'm an Arsenal fan because I said that it was a disgrace that you can be in a title race and lose points because of this. But it's the truth. I mean, for whether you're in the relegation zone or you're pushing for the title, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't matter what place you're in the league. It can't happen. But especially for me, when you're potentially fighting relegation or pushing for the title, you need every single point you can get. I mean, in general, you need every single point you can get, but I think especially when you're at those ends of the spectrum, you definitely need every single point. And it's like you are potentially costing teams their Premier League status, because a team might lose out on being in the Premier League because of VAR and a mistake that you eventually apologize for, which does fuck all, like you said. Or like Arsenal, for example, imagine that they got all 3 points against Brentford. Like they basically admitted they should have. We're having a whole different conversation. It's a whole different conversation. Arsenal are still 5 points clear. Even if they lose to City, it doesn't matter because they're still going to be number one in the Prem. Things are going to be way different. And looking back at that, like, look, in the grand scheme of things, when we look back on it at the end of the season, it might not matter because Man City may win the league by 4 points. And it's like, those 2 points might have not made the difference. But it might come down to that.
It's momentum.
It affects momentum. It affects the team talk. It affects the mentality of the squad. Everything. It changes everything.
It's a lot bigger than just like, the points didn't matter anyway. Because I'm almost even drawing it back to that 2017 game versus Bayern Munich. I mean, that's the most egregious thing that I could think of. I mean, it's momentum affecting. I mean, referees make bad calls and things aren't called, even though we won by more than, if you disallow the 2 offside goals, we still win. It's momentum changing. It's too much of a gut buster of that. It takes the soul out of your team, because you just can't play through that. I mean, because as a player, you're just like, well, the system's against us. We're playing against this team and the system. We can't beat that. And
I mean, to be honest, I think the Arsenal players are feeling worse now that they know that they made a clear mistake, because they're sitting here and they're like, we literally just got robbed. I mean, that makes you feel even worse. To be honest, when it's up for debate, at least you're like, well, you can somehow maybe convince yourself that, it's not the case. But then when you get clear and evidence from the Footballing Association that they say we messed up and we robbed you, it makes you feel worse as a player. I mean, I can think back to when I was playing. If the referees came up to me and admitted, hey, we made a bad call and we cost you the game,
might as well don't say anything.
Don't tell me. Literally, don't tell me. That's what I would say. I don't want to know. Don't even tell me that you made a bad mistake. When it makes it significantly worse, in my opinion. And now Arsenal, they're sitting there and Arteta's like it's literally, it might be us against the world. You know what I mean?
I mean, you'd only hope it gets better from here. I mean, that's all
you only hope. We've been saying that for 5 years at this point. You know what I mean?
There's not really much we can say. I don't think VAR's not going anywhere. I mean,
it's not going anywhere, but it has to be.
Something has to be addressed. A lot of things have to be. Yeah.
A lot of things. Yeah. But I mean, maybe we can move on to some positive news for once,
Yeah, but finally some good news. I think
good news for you, at least.
The best news of the weekend: Real Madrid get the job done they had to do, and finally I can buy my Real Madrid kit with the FIFA World Cup badge. I've been holding it off, but finally I get to make that purchase.
So ultimately, obviously, they were able to win the Club World Cup 5-3 final score against Al Hilal. What is your main takeaways from this performance, and how do you think this bodes well for y'all in the rest of the season?
I think it was just something that it's something that had to be done. I mean, we can't afford to lose this. I mean, Real Madrid was saying that they were looking closely at Ancelotti, that if Ancelotti somehow bottled this, he'd get sacked. And I would agree with that. But our teams, we have too many good players for to not afford to win. I mean, this came down to our star players, and they showed up and they did what had to be done. Maybe we let in more goals than we should have, but I think Courtois definitely stops the first goal. I mean, that was we're playing with our backup goalkeeper, and Camavinga did not have the greatest performance at left back. I mean, I can't really blame him. I mean, how do you really bring it up to play a Saudi league team that much? I can somewhat forgive that. I can give Camavinga a break because we are playing him out of position. But as far as our starting lineup, we're starting to get some guys fit. Shumeni looked like he picked up a little bit of a knock, but I saw I saw him get subbed out a bit early, but I saw him after the match. He seemed to be walking well. I think they wanted to side on caution because we don't want to lose Shumeni again.
Yeah, no, midfield would be terrible without him.
Alaba's finally back in the center back role. Militao was on the bench. We're starting to get some type of fit. Courtois wasn't fit enough to be put into the squad. I think he might have been good to play, but with him being injured, they didn't want to risk it. Squad. They didn't want to put him on the squad list at all. So I mean, we played basically one of our strongest 11s. We got it done. We did what we had to do. Won the Club World Cup. Whoa! I mean, I'm not really running home about it. It's definitely, if you're in contention to win a cup, you might as well win it. It doesn't hurt to do it. And it was a great performance by Vinicius Jr., one man of the match with 2 goals, 1 assist. And I mean, there's not much I can really complain about it, other than let in too many goals, but that can be chalked out to they happened mostly to the vital positions we were missing, which was our goalkeeper and third or left back.
Yeah, look, my main takeaways from this performance. Look, you did what had to be done. I mean, European clubs have won the last 10 Club World Cups, and Real Madrid could not be the one that breaks that streak. They had to win this. And ultimately, so historically in the Club World Cup, it's normally the European sides playing against the South American teams, which would, in this case was Flamengo, but they lost. So you were playing the Saudi League team, playing Al Hilal. And no disrespect to Al Hilal, but y'all had to get that win. But, unfortunately, I don't think it was a very convincing performance. I think in the attacking third, of course, it's nice to see Valverde get back onto good form because we remember how terrorizingly good he was at the beginning of the season. He had a little bit of a dip, with the World Cup and such, but now he might be rising back. Or you could also just test that to the fact it is Al Hilal at the end of the day. I'm not 100% sure, but I think his confidence may be coming back, which will obviously bode well for him in the upcoming matches. But, there's a lot to be said nice about the attack. I mean, the midfield obviously played well and the attack played well. But my issues here is with the defense. You conceded 3 goals to Al Hilal, and no disrespect to Al Hilal. I mean, they have some guys who formerly played in Europe. I mean, Luciano Vieto, I think he used to play for Atletico Madrid, at the Argentinian striker. He's not a bad player, but you can't concede 2 goals to Vieto. And I understand it was kind of maybe even garbage time per se, if you want to call it that. You were up 5-1, but you just can't concede 3 goals. I mean, even at the time y'all went up 2-0, and then Mariega scored to make it 2-1. That was a good goal from them, and y'all kind of got picked apart.
I think that one, Amerigo, came down to, I mean, it basically went through our back. I always forget our backup goalkeeper's name. I think it's
Lunin, right?
Lunin. Look, it went through him. I mean, if that's Thibaut Courtois.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
And to be fair, they caught Camavinga out of place. Camavinga was pushing way high. That side of the field is wide open. That you have to capitalize on it. So that's where I'm not as worried about conceding, that goal, or even the second one was a great goal. It's a great chip. I don't think Courtois is going to save that one, but I mean, and then that's the only real goal I can say. They would have got us no matter who we had out there. They probably we're just going to catch us. But the other one, the last one, scored in garbage time, and the first one was just a combination of they hit us where we're missing our 2 starters.
Yeah, okay. Well, people are criticizing Rudiger, saying that didn't play well, and obviously maybe Lunin.
Rudiger hasn't been playing well this whole season either. I mean,
but my thing, and look, my thing with this is, I'm not saying, obviously we already predicted it, that I think Real Madrid are still going to beat Liverpool, but like you say that like Liverpool, the game is coming up thick and fast. So the guys that you have, Camavinga, who didn't play well, Rudiger, who potentially didn't play well, and then Lunin, they're still going to be in the starting 11 for Liverpool. So obviously Liverpool are pretty shit. Don't get me wrong, but they could be able to find a way to still expose these things and give y'all a run for your money. I would still make it very clear Liverpool are not going to win.
Thibaut Courtois is going to be back by then. I haven't looked that much into the reports. I didn't think it was that serious of an injury. I don't know if he'll be back then, but I think it mostly did come down to Camavinga playing a bad game. I mean, we are playing him out of position, but I mean that's been somewhat uncharacteristic. He's been playing very well. He's been pretty decent left back. I think that might have just been one game where it's a Saudi team. He doesn't really he doesn't really have to be on his game that much. And I think when you play a team like Liverpool, I mean we just really played them in a Champions League final. I think they'll be able to muster it up just to get by him, because I mean
they don't have to do much.
They don't got to do much, but it's also a lot of the players in the team are going to understand the magnitude of that game, and they're going to get the job done.
And obviously Carlo Ancelotti as well. I mean,
because we have players that are on bad form. I think I don't know why they're not playing David Alaba left back, but maybe it's just because
he's coming back from injury as well. They were trying to make sure he doesn't re-aggravate it.
And another thing that I think Militao and Rudiger is not a good center back pairing. Those guys have no real, like I said, I think they're secondary defenders. They need that one spearhead, which is David Alaba. So I think he's more vital there than what he would be on the left back, even though he played left back at the highest level for so many years, so many seasons. Yeah. I think Camavinga is doing a job. And to be fair, we're giving him play time. I mean, unfortunately hasn't been really able to get into crack that midfield just yet, because I mean we still have Luka Modric, Toni Kroos. Even though they're aging, you still want to get all we can get out of them. So I mean I'm glad Camavinga is still getting minutes on the pitch, but I think there's not really anything much to be worried about. I think we're just on the right trajectory to go into Liverpool, and I mean it's starting to look better because Valverde gain some confidence, because that's what really it comes down to. Players have to have that confidence to be able to do that to anybody, because I mean, it's against a Saudi team, but there's still the mindset doesn't change that I can do this to anybody. It doesn't matter, because it has to be the mentality, and I think that was great for Valverde to have that game.
And do you think this can help you potentially go on a run in La Liga and maybe even catch up to Barca?
That's hard to say. I mean, I think Barca playing right now, I think they're winning. I think last time I checked, they're 1-0 up at halftime. Pedri scored in the 14th minute.
Very good goal.
very very good goal. But I
But no,
think
they won. Yeah, they won 1-0.
yeah, they probably won by now. But you know, it's hard to say that. I'd like to say yes, but with Barcelona are known to be a great league team. I mean, especially when they don't have to really deal with the Champions League this season as
11
much as
points
they're in
clear.
Europa League. But I think we can make it competitive. I think we could not be blown out in our league, but I think the more concentration of Madrid
No,
right now is
Champions
the
League.
Champions League, as it's always kind of been. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's still time to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a fair assessment. It's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. Obviously, we've got the Champions League starting this week, so you can stay tuned and watch all of our reactions to those videos. Obviously, we've got Manchester City playing Arsenal on Wednesday, so probably, on Wednesday night, we'll be cooking up a nice video that's going to be reacting to all of these games. Going to be a very good week of football. So I know everyone that's watching the video, obviously a football fan, very excited to see how this all plays out. But like we said at the beginning of the video, just wanted to thank y'all for the continued support on the channel. Obviously, hitting over 850 subscribers. We're literally inching so close every single day. So we appreciate the continued support. Drop a like, drop the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. I mean, drop a comment what y'all think about Arsenal, what you think about Chelsea, what you think about VAR. I actually want to know, what do y'all think about VAR? I want to know that for sure. Drop your comments about VAR and let us know your thoughts.
Absolutely. I mean, we want you guys' engagement in our reels and everything. I mean, Zach slaves himself to put those reels out, and we want to see what you guys have to say. Unfortunately, even I can't see a lot of the comments because sometimes they're fucking blurred out because you guys are saying some profanity. But fuck it, we enjoy it. I mean, it's all in good fun. I mean, it's a bit banter.
Yeah, I mean, literally, one of the reels on TikTok about to hit 1 million views. So we appreciate the continued support. Anyone who's come over from the TikTok, we appreciate y'all. But I think we can wrap this one up.
Yeah.
So, like I said, thank y'all. I'm your co-host Zach.
I'm your co-host G.
We will see y'all next time for another video. Peace.